Sonny and Ruben were once on the same team. They raced together. They raced in Formula One back in the probably the late '80s into early '90s, certainly in early '90s to mid '90s maybe. And through a tragic accident that Sonny experienced, that was kind of the end of his F1 career, and they seem to have gone different ways. In that amount of time, Javier's part, Ruben, has become very successful in the sport and is now evolved into a team owner. So now he's running his own Apex GP team, but as it stands, they're a last place team, and so he has this harebrained Hail Mary idea to bring back his old friend who never quite got to answer this thing.
And that is when he bets all that he has and he owns into the character of Sonny.
Well, it's more about desperation. He's run out of choices.
But because he knows that he has a passion and he has a question still not answered inside of him that he needs to answer.
Because he's tried everything else and exhausted all other possibilities. He's got nothing left but the old friend.
And we're gonna witness how he's gonna really reach to the answer of that through the whole movie.
It's such a crazy idea. Joe Kosinski, our director, must have been sitting around after the success of Maverick going, what do I do next? I know. I'm going to do the most visceral, experiential racing movie ever made. I'm going to integrate the entire film into the F1 season. I'm going to put real actors and real cars on tracks on real race weekends, and we're going to make a movie.
Why not?
Somehow he pulled it off. Yeah, it's so audacious. I can't believe we actually got to go with it.
I can't imagine this film being done with anybody else, in the sense that Jerry is one of the best producers ever in the history of cinema, and to be able to put this together and make possible that we will be immersed in the F1 world while they are doing their own schedule. It must be so complicated. I cannot even imagine. And the way Joe approaches such a huge, big of a movie like this one is very peacefully and very easy and very you feel the stress, but he doesn't contagious you the stress that he has. He gives you room to really experiment and try the scenes and play with it. And he's very focused on acting at the same time, which is crazy because the amount of answers that he has to give every second there are millions of them. But when he comes to acting, boom, he focuses and he really will do the best out of you.
Yeah, we've seen the name Jerry Bruckheimer on every other movie since childhood, and here's Jerry still doing it, still putting in the work. Amazing. He's on set every day.
His energy is relentless.
And he's so kind and respectful to everyone on the crew, from top to bottom. Really an impressive dude. And then you have Joe. You're right. I mean, everything he had to juggle in this movie, he's got to be working the technical aspect. They get to design cameras to fit in these cars. Where are they going to hide the battery away? How's this going to work? Using old races to integrate our story in, finding these shots, and it's endless. On top of having to direct us bozos.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It is a lot.
By far the most difficult thing he had to do.
Yeah. Joe very wisely said, "I'm going to make an F1 movie, but to do that, I'm going to have to get someone who everyone else is going to trust, who's going to sanction it, who's going to be able to guide us." And that he went to 7-time world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton, who has a love for movies as well as other art forms, and he was actually the first the first one to platoon this crazy idea. He was the first one he got in, and from there, Lewis opened up, the entire ecosystem to us and introduced us to each team, every driver. We were in drivers' meetings, team principals, and everyone. Stefano at F1. I mean, everyone just opened the doors for us to tell this story. It was quite incredible and unprecedented. That's just getting started. We would sit for hours with Lewis. I mean, I remember one 12-hour meeting that our ending came out of, where we would just say, what about this? What's this like for you? What if we went this way? No, that's not right, but you could do this. And we kept pulling from historic moments through F1 and how to tell this underdog story of this team that has very little to fight with. How are they going to become competitive? Now let's get to, we've shot the movie a year and a half later and we're putting it together. Lewis would come in and he could tell you if you're in the wrong gear at turn 6. The race knowledge is just unfathomable. He could tell you on whatever track we're on, when you're heading down the straight, there's a reverb that comes off the left wall. You need to add that sound in. I mean, the detail is extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. Killer cast,
great people to be around with. We've been together for like a year and a half. I mean, not every day. Well, you mostly, but it's all about the people that you are working with and the atmosphere and the humanity and everybody involved in this movie was very, like, I don't know how to say, like nice to be with, nice to be around with, nice to work with, and it made it possible. I cannot imagine how hard this movie, how to fit this movie in the F1 schedule, for example, would have been if it was not that the case. If the case was like with somebody like the director being more difficult to work with, or that would have been a hell. But it was the opposite. It was like a family, like a team. We were a team.
We had to gel. I mean, we're trying to film on race weekends, and we know we're going to get 5 minutes to do this particular scene, and I don't know. It was a real kind of gelling experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Carrie's amazing in it. There's a lot of things that happen in the movie where we don't understand quite what the motivation is till some time later. Carrie's, through her emotions in the film, she's actually the one telling us, she's almost narrating with her emotions, what's happening in the movie. She actually leads us. Really important, really difficult to do. She's really amazing. Damson, he's so damn charming. I just want to. Besides being terribly slow, no, I couldn't have a better sparring partner. I'm thrilled. Like he certainly can hold his own, and he's got great things ahead of him. But then I think of all the characters, Kim and Kim Bodnia, Sarah, and Will, and
they came with the best spirit. Yeah. We all went into there and with the best spirit.
Yeah.
And Joe knows how to direct actors, and he really makes us feel like protected and also welcoming our own proposals.
I think the lovely thing about this story is that each character has their own win, has their own hurdle they're dealing with, their own challenges, and like all great sports movies, like I think of Hoosiers, like every character had this win at the end.
Moneyball is one of mine.
Yeah. Cool. Well, not so much of a win, but Joe set out to make the most visceral, experiential racing movie of all time, and so the bigger the better. I have yet to see it on IMAX. I can't wait because apparently it's quite a thrill ride, and I don't doubt it by the shots that he was able to maintain, develop, invent. What I've seen even on the small screen is pretty damn thrilling. So
the amount of work of so many professionals putting the best they know into every detail is really make it worth it to go to the biggest screen and enjoy every aspect of it.
I've always wanted to play an athlete. I grew up wanting to be a football player. So any way I can get into the world of sports was really big for me in movies. But the no-brainer was, of course, the people that were involved. I love Top Gun, so I really wanted to work with Joe and Jerry. And then I've been a huge fan of Brad and Javier my entire life, and the glorious Kerry.
Cute, I didn't mind if you left me out. I wouldn't have minded at all.
Never. Yeah, so that's why I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, I met before I even read the script, so I was the same. It was the team. I was like, oh my God, a big massive movie and I might be the female lead. I was like, come hell or high water, this is my part. And then when I read it, it was the same. It was like, oh, this to prep this and like figure all this out and immerse myself in it. I was like, I know exactly what I have to do to pull this off. Like, I think I'm the right person for it.
Joshua Pierce is a young, kind of arrogant rookie who wants to win a championship, but lacks the maturity to really lead the team. And then when Sonny Hayes' character comes to the team of Apex, he kind of butts heads with him, but over time builds a respect for him. So that's Joshua's story.
So Kate McKenna is the technical director of the team, and the team is at a low ebb when we meet them in the beginning of the movie. They're not doing well, and it's partly because of the car, which is Kate's responsibility. So her confidence is not great at the beginning of the movie. And her backstory is like she was married to this fella. Presumably she went to engineering in college and she was married, and she said she wanted to go in Formula One because Javier Bardem's character saw like she was talented, and the husband was against it, so she broke up with him. So I imagine she didn't have much experience with men, like that was her only kind of like fella. And then she put the head down and worked. And then we find her then at the beginning of the movie, like trying her best, knowing she's good, but like something isn't working and she can't figure out why it's not working. And then the rest is the movie.
The first time I met with Joe and Jerry, I had said to them, in Top Gun, people were flying those planes for real. How are you guys going to do F1? Green screen, right? And they both deadpan looked at me. They're like, no, you're going to be driving the cars for real. And I put my poker face on and I was like, I could do that.
A sweat.
Yeah. Sort of like a sweat of blood. But, you know, we trained for about 4 or 5 months behind different disciplines of race cars. And by the time we got into the cars that we used for the movie, you know, going from Grand Prix to Grand Prix, racing amongst the real crowd, you know, we were ready to go. And the interesting thing about driving was we had all these cameras on the car. So unlike Lewis and Max, when they're in a car and they could see everything, we could barely see. And sometimes we'd be going 180 miles per hour while saying lines at a specific place on the track.
With emotion,
trying to look cute while we did it. So it really was, you know, a huge challenge, but the feeling after completing it, and you know the taps on the back of the shoulders, and you know the respect we received from the world of Formula One was second to none.
We went to the Barcelona Grand Prix for the very first time just to observe it. I didn't know anything about Formula One, and that was the first place that Joe sent me to just watch it and enjoy it. And we met a lot of different people there and just could ask them questions. And I met Bernie Collins, who's a strategist in real life, and she's from Ireland. So I immediately was like, I'm going to like totally take her backstory in the sense of her education, what led her to Formula One. And then I started to realize it's actually like a lot, you know, and my physics is not my strong suit. So I remember thinking, okay, I need to just take what I need for the movie to pull it off in a realistic manner. I cannot take in everything. I mean, it's just too complicated. So I took what was necessary for each scenes. And then props and things like that, I tried to make decisions based on other people I had seen. Like, did I want a notepad, or was she like a computer girl? And what buttons to press when I was talking to what particular people. So I made decisions that I kept the same, so to sell it, like to make it look like it was real. And then I let go all the preparation and I just had fun, because ultimately, like, I had to sell that I was like a human, you know, and that's, you know, like there was a part where you just have to let go. Otherwise you're kind of feel a little bit like stiff if you're just constantly trying to, you know, make it so realistic. Like when he wasn't directing, he was like so kind as a person and so like a total gentleman. So it sort of, it filtered down, you know, all the crew that he had, they were all like gents and kind and lovely and helped you get a better performance. I never felt like anything I did was wrong. It was always like, oh, that's just an option. Let's try another option. And Yeah, it was just a lot of fun for such a big budget, like stressful movie. It never really felt that way. And even in my scenes with Brad too, they were very playful, and it was never a time constraint. It was like we could try it like 100 times and just have fun.
It seems very refreshing.
Yeah,
nurturing environment
really.
in a movie like this. That's pretty remarkable.
What about for you? What would you find Joe?
I mean, my surprise with Joe was just like how free I felt around him. That, like you say, there was no bad choice, and I could say what I wanted to. Like I could improvise, I could play because he trusted the actors that he hired, and I love directors like that who see it as a collaboration rather than a dictatorship.
Totally.
So working with Joe was just an amazing experience, and he is a laser-focused genius. Watching him during these moments of 8 minutes to 10 minutes, getting these shots, his eyes kind of lock in, and he's thinking of a million things at one time, and he's hitting everything to a T. So I was just really inspired to watch him work.
And he never lost the head with anyone. He was always calm.
There was that one time.
One time?
I'm playing those.
I was like, when? I missed it. Brad and Javier. So Javier, like, because of our character's relationship, like, he saw something in Kate, that she didn't even see in herself, and brought her into the world of F1. So I had that kind of feeling with Javier where he kind of like, that hug at the end, like, just felt so real. Like, he was like this one person who really believed in her. So I kept Javier as that for me. It plays out for me like it does in the film, and it's not like I go about my way to make it that way. It just kind of does naturally. And then same with Brad. Like, I used to tease his accent. I was like, the way he's, the American accent, the way he says car. I used to really highlight like how different he was to everyone. And he was very playful to work with and really in the moment, really natural, very like, we'll see on the day, we'll see. So I was like, well, we'll see on the day. No problem.
I was just a huge fan of both of them, and just watching them work, I was able to just be a sponge and just really disappear in these scenes. They make it so easy, and there's a reason why they have such prosperous careers. They are amazing human beings too. I'm excited for people who actually don't know anything about Formula One to watch this movie, because they'll instantly see that there's so many themes that are relatable to real life, and that it's not just a racing movie. There's characters in there that you would know, that you'd walk past on the street. We all know a Joshua who has this huge challenge, and he's trying to overcome adversity and prove himself to the world. So when people leave the cinema, they're going to feel how they felt back in the day when they watched those big movies. They're going to wish they were of that world.
Yeah, there's so many different nationalities and accents in the movie, and they like seamlessly sort of come together. So that is really nice to see in a movie. And then it reminded me of when I was younger, like that feeling where you're like cheering and you want, like, it really evokes this like feel good, like feeling with the music and everything. And these like people who were losing, like learning and doing well. Like, it just was like a movie I would have seen when I was younger, that I would have remembered every line. And so I really hope people feel that like nostalgia feeling of like, that's why movies are so great. It's like you remember them forever, and the feeling that you felt. It's also like a family movie too. Like, it's quite age appropriate. And a date movie also, because it's a little romance, and there's something for boys and girls in there. I think I just hope they feel like it was worth the money to go to the theater, because the sound and the camera work and everything.
I mean, it's the only sport I know of where your teammate can be your biggest competition, and that right there is a recipe for drama. So that's kind of where it started. I also like this idea of the story of a veteran driver who maybe had a shot at Formula One when he was younger, but something went wrong, kind of sending him off that path. He thinks he'll never get another chance, and a friend of his reaches out, gives him that opportunity, one last chance to kind of get a Formula One victory. That element to me, I felt like was that notion of second chances or redemption story was something that I felt like anyone can relate to.
Well, I think you just want to create a story that's dramatic, that's romantic, that's funny. You want to have this kind of, everybody loves stories of sports stories that from a team that can't get it together, a driver that had a chance that blew it, to give him a second chance. And how you can pull that team together. It's kind of the bad news bears when it starts. This team hasn't gotten 1 point. They've raced for, 15 races and haven't been able to get a point. So it's how Sonny, Brad's character, comes into this team, pulls them together to try to get that one win, to save the team. So there's stakes. You want the stakes. Yeah.
This is the kind of role that I always wanted to see Brad play. Obviously he's an icon, incredible leading man, incredible actor. But I think he brings something really special to this role. There's a vulnerability he brings to it that I think is something that the audience is going to see. He's got a great sense of humor. This is one of those iconic characters, that I know he was really excited to play, and he's the perfect person for it. I can't imagine anyone else in the role. Well, it starts with having Lewis Hamilton as our producing partner, so he gave us a level of authenticity that you just couldn't get from anywhere else. We had to develop a whole new camera system for this film. We worked very closely with Sony, taking the camera system from Top Gun Maverick. We shrunk it down, we miniaturized it, we made it lighter. We adapted it to these cars that we built for the film. These are real racing cars that were built by Mercedes F1 team. So integrating the cameras into the car, giving you angles you've never seen before. Brad and Damson actually are driving the cars in this film. They trained for months to learn how to drive real race cars on real Formula One tracks. And we shot during real race weekends, so the crowd in the stands was really there. You're going to see Brad and Damson next to Lewis and Charles and Carlos on the track in this film. It's really the whole goal was to give the audience the feeling of what it's like to be inside one of these cars during a race, and hopefully we achieved that.
Well, the first call that Joe made was to Lewis, even before Brad, to get Lewis involved in it and become a producer with both of us to make this the most authentic racing movie ever. But it had to be emotional, so we had to make it real for their world and real for a real audience. So it doesn't matter if you know anything about racing to watch this movie, because you're on this emotional ride with our characters. But Lewis brought the authenticity, he brought Mercedes into it. Mercedes built 6 of our cars. They designed them, and it's an F1 body over an F2 engine, so they're rocket ships. And it's amazing how much Lewis brought to the party by giving us advice on the sounds. You're in second gear, not in third gear at this turn. You can't pass on this other turn and create an accident. We created an accident. Just all the little things that he did. He sat for 12 hours with Brad and myself while he's racing. Don't forget, he's got a day job. Sat with us for 12 hours with Brad, Joe, and myself, Aaron Kruger, and who else was in there? I think Jeremy was in there too, to try to make this the most authentic movie ever. Just to go through every single scene and make sure we had the racing right and the emotion right. Great acting. He's a great actor, and he's a really good driver. That's what it's all about. He's got humor, he's charismatic, he's got everything that we love about movie stars. He's going to be a big movie star.
Because as an audience, you can tell if it's fake. You can tell if it's been shot on a green screen. You can tell if there's a stunt driver driving, the actor's just acting. You're not going to feel that in this film. That's Brad and Damson. That look on their face, that focus, that concentration, that's real, because they're driving a race car, around a corner at 180 miles an hour and trying to keep it on the track. So that's something that you can feel in your gut. And that was the goal of this film, to make it, put the audience in that car, and know what it feels like to be one of these guys. For me, Javier was kind of on the bucket list of actors I've always wanted to work with. This is the perfect role for him. We needed someone to play an old friend to Brad Pitt's character, and Javier is an icon himself. And from the moment he walks on the screen, the relationship between the two of them feels like, that it's decades old. He's got so much warmth, so much soul, so much passion. He really brought the role to life. From what's on the page to what you see on screen, he did what only great actors can do. And Carrie, again, phenomenal actor, playing a woman in a man's world, a team technical director. She's in charge of designing the car. She's desperate to prove that she belongs there. And Carrie just has all those qualities. And she's really funny and bright and, really, again, brought so much life to that character.
Well, you have to. You want to make a real movie? Look at this. We traveled to 10 different tracks through the movie. We traveled our cars. We built 6 cars. We moved them around the world. We built our own garage. We folded that up. That traveled around the world with us. It's an enormous undertaking. We had our actors actually driving the cars. We built a paddock. We were in between Ferrari and Red Bull in the garage area. So this is really authentic. We're shooting on the tracks in front of the crowds, in front of 100,000 people in the stadium, and most probably, I don't know how many people on
100 million people
100
on
million
TV,
people
yeah.
on TV watching what we're doing. So we had to get it right. The emotion, the sound, the fury, the ride we take them on. Get them inside a world they chances are they know nothing about, and give them the experience of a lifetime.